Oh, okay. So she can go on proceedings.
Okay. All right. Right. All right. Good morning, everyone. All right. Well, we'll get started here. The Committee on Public Safety, Judiciary, and Homeland Security called to order at 11:04. We do roll call, please.
Commissioner Wilson, Commissioner Peterson Mayberry, Commissioner Clemente.
Here.
Commissioner Dobb.
Here.
Chair Garza.
Here.
You have a quorum present.
Thank you. Next item, please.
B, chair's remarks.
I have, actually, I do have one remark. The microphones, while we can't hear them amplified in here, we still need to turn them on and speak into the microphone in order for folks on Zoom to hear. So just ensure that when anyone comes up, please hit that button, even though it's not, you can't hear it inside here, we can hear it on Zoom. So please just note that. And then also just want to, she'll be coming up here in a second, but welcome Prosecutor Worthy to our committee today as well. Good morning. Next item, please.
C, approval of the March 25th, 2026 meeting minutes.
Support.
Right. We have a motion by Commissioner Peterson Mayberry, supported by Commissioner Clemente, for approval of the minutes. All those in favor signify by saying yes.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right, motion carries. Next item, please.
D, unfinished business. There is none listed.
Next item.
Moving to item 1 under new business, requesting commission approval of Amendment 1 to a grant agreement with the U.S. Department of Justice, Office of Justice Programs, Bureau of Justice Assistance for the 2022 Justice Assistance Grant.
Okay. We'll have Ms. Terry, I believe, for items 1 and 2.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Anita Terry, Chief of Administration for Wayne County Sheriff's Office. We come before you today asking for your approval to extend the JAG 2022 grant. There is no additional funds that's going to be added to this grant. It's just only for time in order for the communities to submit their requests for reimbursement. The remaining amount at this time is 1.4 million. And again, there's no additional revenue being added to this grant.
Thank you. Are there any commissioner questions for this item? Commissioner Peterson Mayberry.
Thank you. Through the chair, no question, just a request. If I could get just the status of what the programs are that these communities are supporting. I see the dollar amounts. I know some of them have been, there's been a spend down to 0, but a lot of them have balances.
Yes.
Just something on what the projects are that these programs are working on under this, under these grant dollars.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Commissioner Clemente.
Thank you, Mr. Jarrett. Kind of on the same lines, there seems to be, from what I read, especially one of my communities, it was stated that they spent the money, they didn't spend the money. So I kind of wanted to make sure that that's taken care of. And a few of the communities have quite a large balance. And how are they being, do they know that it's out there, or how they can use it? Have they submitted things? Or just kind of where we're at along the same lines as,
Well, they are aware and they work closely with our grants director, and she could go into more detail. I believe she's on the line now, as to how the communities submit.
and
for
then
that.
what happens at September 30th of 2026? Does this money get clawed back if they
Yeah.
don't use
You
it?
use it or lose it.
Ugh, okay. I don't know.
Yeah, I will say we won't be able to hear anyone on Zoom today, unfortunately. So we'll have to put a pin in that.
Well,
But
if we,
still we'll get
yeah,
the answer.
yeah, get the
Yeah.
answers
Mhm.
and any way that we can
Okay.
Sure.
figure
So I'll
this out.
provide the status, basically what is submitted to our office by these communities, because when they submit their request for equipment or if they're going to use it for their labor costs, we submit that to DLJ. So I can ask to provide a copy of that information to you all. And you also had a question as to if they don't use their funds, is that what it was?
Yes, so I mean, I think I knew the answer, but you know, if these funds don't get used by September 30th of 2026, then the federal government's going to take them back. So we
Okay.
should use money. These communities
Mhm.
should use their money. I'm sure they
Absolutely.
have needs. So
Mhm.
Absolutely. Commissioner Peterson Mayberry?
Thank you, through the chair. And to that point, I guess I know they know that they have dollars, but we also, it would be advantageous if there's any obstacles that are preventing them from spending the dollars, because we don't want to give dollars back. So knowing that that timeline is going to come sooner than later. So that information, when you send it to us, that'd be helpful.
Okay, I'm
Thank you.
sure our grants director is always in contact with these communities
Mhm.
because there's a meeting on the onset of this program and they go through the entire timeline.
Okay.
And so I'm sure she's in touch with them throughout the
Okay.
timeline. But
So
I
so
will
it'd be
provide
easy
that
for us
as
to
well.
get that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, commissioners. Thank you. Absolutely. Any additional questions on item number 1? Okay, can we read in item 2?
Item 2, requesting commission approval of a professional services contract with the Detroit Employment Solutions Corporation for the Pathways Home for program designed to forge pathways for approximately 400 adults incarcerated in the criminal justice complex.
All right. Ms. Terry.
Yeah, Benita Terry, Wayne County Sheriff's Office, Chief of Administration. So this program has it started in May of 2024, and it's to go through December of this year. It is winding down as the end date is approaching. So we had 400 adults that are incarcerated that went through this training program to help them when they leave the facility, to help them with employment. We could not do this program in our jails without Detroit Employment Solutions, and they could not do it without having a jail. So we partnered together,
Excellent.
and we will receive the revenue of 344,000, basically to cover our salaries for the deputies that worked during that time.
Excellent. Any questions from commissioners? Commissioner Peterson Mayberry?
Thank you. Ms. Terry, so I noticed, so the timeline for the inmates to actually participate in this program is anybody who has between 20 and 270 days. How long is the actual program?
I'm going to say 6 weeks, but I'm not for sure because I was not really involved with the program,
Okay,
but I can provide that answer to you.
okay. And then my other question was around the readiness. So I know that in-house, we're determining not only who's eligible by time, but also their readiness. So when you provide that information, if you could also let me know, what does readiness look like for the employee, for those who are going to be employed? And are we tracking those once they leave our program? What does that look like? Are they continuing to stay employed? Are there any gaps that we need to make sure that we're covering on the inside before they go into the get re-entered back into the community?
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any additional questions from commissioners? Okay. Anything else, Ms. Terry, on that item?
Thank you.
We're all set. All right. Thank you. All right. We will take a motion for items 1 and 2 together.
I'll move for approval.
All right. We have a motion by Commissioner Dobbs, supported by Commissioner Wilson for approval of items 1 and 2. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right. Motions 1 and 2 carry. Next item, please.
Item 3, a domestic violence update from Prosecutor Kim Worthy.
Welcome Prosecutor Worthy and her team up to the table, please.
Thank you. Is it still morning? Oh, good morning. No, I went to pancakes and politics this morning, so I feel like I've been up forever.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
a long morning.
It was good though.
Yeah.
So thank you for having us. This is going to take a minute. So, all right.
Absolutely.
So I want to introduce the chief of my SVU, Victims Unit, Kelly Gleason, a deputy chief, Susie Twill, and then also Trish Gerard, who's in charge of the domestic violence unit. That's the unit that has the most warrant requests in the office. I'm rounding it off, we typically get about 10,000 a year. I think we're up to like 964, I think it was last year. And so you heard me right, 10,000 domestic violence warrants request a year. We typically issue, I think, just under about 4,000, if I'm correct, just on average. And so we're always looking for ways to innovate new programs. And it's always dangerous when I go to a conference because I come back with, as most of us do, we come back with all these ideas. And most of the ideas we can adopt to what I call our culture here in Wayne County, because there's, of course, not a one size fits all when it comes to crime. But I heard about this particular program called Survivors First, which I think is critically important. I wanted to bring it to you all here first so you can hear what we want to do. I'm not at this, and I'm emphasizing at this time, I'm not at this time asking for any money from you. I will be in the future.
Yeah.
So, and the bottom line is there's probably about 5 or 6 new initiatives and these didn't come from other places, but that I'm looking at to improve the quality of life when it comes to public safety in Wayne County. And you know that I always try to bring these to you, to public safety, so you can see what we're thinking about. But this is one such program, and I'm going to turn it over to them, and then hopefully you'll have some questions and we can talk about the implementation later. But again, I'm not asking for funding at this time.
Thank you.
To Will. Want you spell that for the record, Susie?
I just want to make sure you have the green lights on when you're speaking into the. Okay, excellent.
Madam Clerk, can I share my screen?
So while they're doing that, this is just another attempt to try to do something about our massive, and I mean massive, problem with domestic violence we have here in Wayne County.
Also thank our IT people.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am the principal attorney who's currently supervising prosecutor over the domestic violence unit, the elder abuse unit, and protection unit. First, let me say on behalf of all of us, Prosecutor Worthy, and listeners, for allowing us the opportunity today to speak with you a little bit, to do a little. Am I on? Oh, there we go. I said it was on. It's not on. Give you a little idea of what we do every day at the prosecutor's office in the domestic violence unit. So, next. Basically, today we're just going to give you a brief overview of the domestic violence unit, what the prosecutor's office's mission is in general, the SVU unit breakdown, the DV unit mission statement, what our protocol is. We'll talk a little bit about the numbers of warrants that we review annually, as Prosecutor Worthy has already alluded to. And we're going to show you some highlights regarding noteworthy cases, including some media videos, and describe for you the community outreach that we also engage in every year on behalf of the citizens of Wayne County. And then Chief Gleason is going to describe for you the Survivors First program that Prosecutor Worthy just mentioned, which is our latest initiative. And then also very important pending litigation or legislation, just litigation, I'm an attorney, legislation in the area of personal protection orders that affects every citizen of Wayne County. So basically, the mission of the prosecutor's office obviously is to pursue justice on behalf of the citizens of Wayne County, safeguard our community, and hold those perpetrators accountable. Therefore, hopefully enhancing the quality of life and changing the culture of violence within Wayne County. The mission statement of the Domestic Violence Unit is to empower survivors of intimate partner violence within Wayne County, pursue justice for them. All the assistant prosecutors who are assigned to the Domestic Violence Unit have completed training for trauma-informed prosecution, which puts the victims and survivors and their needs first, and also focuses on holding offenders accountable. Through community education and continued collaboration with our community partners, we strive to represent the citizens of Wayne County and mitigate the effects of trauma, hopefully prevent intimate partner domestic violence homicides, and engage with our multiple municipalities within Wayne County to effect the social change that is necessary to stop the cycle of violence. So the Domestic Violence Unit. Our protocol is very specific. People hear the phrase domestic violence. They don't always know what that means. They think they do. In Wayne County, it has a very specific meaning. The Domestic Violence Unit within the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office prosecutes those cases that we term intimate partner domestic violence. So if you were to look at the domestic violence statute, it would enumerate certain relationships that define what a domestic violence relationship is. So for instance, spouses or former spouses, roommates or former roommates, people who have a child in common, or people who have a current or former dating relationship. Our unit only prosecutes those cases where there's an underlying intimate relationship. So for instance, roommates, general warrants would do those. Parents and children, siblings, general warrants division would do those. So we only do the intimate partner, or IPV, as it's referred to commonly across the domestic violence stratosphere. We currently have approximately 12 assistant prosecutors assigned to the Domestic Violence Unit, and we review all of our own warrants. So if one of our police agencies submits a warrant request to the office that meets our protocol of an intimate partner relationship, it's funneled directly to us. It doesn't go through general warrants. We also vertically prosecute capital cases, so homicides, criminal sexual conduct cases in the first degree, torture cases. Okay. So last year, our Domestic Violence Unit, all 12 or so of us, received 9,523 warrant requests. And if you break it down, that's roughly 26 a day. And if you break it down further, 183 per week. Now, what's interesting and notable about this unit, as with all vertical prosecution units, our assistant prosecutors not only carry full dockets. So we have prosecutors who are assigned full-time felony trial dockets, and they average, right now they're averaging, I would say, about anywhere from 30 to 50 cases on their trial dockets. We also have assistant prosecuting attorneys who are assigned to the out county district courts. They have full-time dockets. We have an assistant prosecutor assigned to the PPO violation docket here at Third Circuit Court. So in addition to all the responsibilities in handling their caseload, every single day they're reviewing warrants. Every single day also means 365 days a year. So they also rotate weekend warrant duty and holidays. So there's always at least 2 of us working on in custody warrants every single day of the year.
And that's just one crime.
That's just domestic violence. That's just intimate partner domestic violence. Yeah, that's a lot. And, just to give you an idea, last year we can throw numbers at you, but the General Warrants Division in 2025, they received 22,599 warrants. So that's all the crimes. Okay, so then you break it down to this specific narrow little area, and we're almost at 10,000. So
And
it's
this, and this is, we are the highest in the nation per prosecutor. The highest in the United States.
so back in 2025, we were
That last stat.
Yeah, Commissioner Wilson.
the General Warrants Division in 2025 received 22,599 warrant requests. Okay, so 22, and then the Domestic Violence Unit alone received 9,523. That's a lot. It's a lot.
Including homicide. and other- Just the general warrant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right,
No specialty divisions.
Stunning.
Yeah.
right. Thank you. So back in 2025, we were fortunate enough to receive, I believe, some federal grant money that allowed us to pay some of our assistant prosecutors who are already working extremely hard to volunteer to work overtime and review backlog warrants. There was a huge backlog, as you can imagine, caused by the pandemic. When things were shut down and courts were shut down and life changed for all of us. So back at the beginning of 2025, the backlog, when I just, so you have an idea what I'm talking about, the backlog warrants I'm referring to are the not in custody warrant requests that come from all our 43 different police agencies. They're logged into the system. And our goal is to review those as quickly as possible because obviously time is of the essence for many reasons. Number one being survivor safety. But receiving so many warrants every day, and we average about 20 or so in custodies a day. The in custodies have to be done first, no matter what. And just by getting those in custodies done and doing their trial dockets, doesn't necessarily leave a lot of time for the not in custody warrants. But this backlog project allowed us to really catch up. So when we started the backlog project, just referring to the domestic violence unit, there were just about 1,950 warrants in that queue. That's 1,950 victims, alleged victims of intimate partner violence that are waiting for us to make a decision on whether somebody's going to be charged or not. But through this program, we were able to get those warrants assigned to the assistant prosecutors who volunteered, and we made a whole lot of headway. And as of right now, there are about 365 warrants in that queue. So, and we're very proud of our
Great.
colleagues and the hard work that they've done.
Now, I'm gonna
And-
interrupt Trish for a second, and they're used to me doing this. That's from 3,000 to what you just said.
Wow.
Yes.
365.
So
Wow.
I am asking for resources to continue that project because
Sure.
we put it in my budget. We're not here for that today, but that allowed us to do that. We did it all over the office.
Mhm.
So the numbers are staggering about what we were able to do. And I want to thank particularly Commissioner Dahl because she was one of the ones from early on that supported our digital system.
Mhm.
And because of the digital system, we're able to do that from home. Now, they couldn't do
Oh,
that
that's
work
great.
and be paid overtime while they're doing regular work hours, but they could do it at home. So again, that money did end. And so we don't currently have a backlog warrant project, but that's one thing I did add into my budget. So I just thought I would add that in. And we put the numbers about what it's going to cost. Yeah.
I can't stress to you what a difference that has
Mhm.
made.
But that's not why we're here today, but
We're not. Just a little footnote.
but I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I appreciate that.
You know,
Okay.
the thing to remember is we talk about these numbers, each one of those numbers is a survivor. Each one of those, it's not just a number, it's a person, it's a resident of this community.
Mm.
And we all owe an obligation to them to try and bring them justice and review their warrant requests as expeditiously as we can for their safety. Okay, so in addition to all the warrants we process and everything we do every day, we also have a great deal of community outreach. in the area of domestic violence. So right now, the primary collaborations that we participate in, number one is the Wayne County Domestic Violence Fatality Review Team. This is a multidisciplinary team. It has been in existence for several years. We meet monthly, and what we do is we review homicide cases, closed cases that have been adjudicated. And the goal,
Homicide cases,
pardon me?
domestic violence homicide cases.
Domestic violence homicide cases only, intimate partner domestic violence. What we do is we seek to identify necessary systemic changes. And the goal is through this community collaborative effort to try to ultimately educate and hopefully prevent intimate partner homicides in Wayne County in the future. So we've been meeting for several years. As I indicated, we review about 2 cases a year and then author a report that is then delivered. Last time I delivered it was to the Detroit Police Department, their public safety board. Okay. Also, we have been instrumental in Wayne County in developing and utilizing the lethality assessment program. What this is, there's a lethality assessment tool, and I won't get too far into the weeds on it, but it's basically a tool that first responders utilize on the scene with survivors. And it's a series of 13 questions. And by the first responder asking the survivor on scene these 13 questions, they can gauge how high the lethality is in the certain circumstance. And if lethality is high, the first responder, the police officer, can put the survivor in immediate contact with one of our community partners, such as First Step, to provide them immediate support services, which could be anything from emergency housing to safety planning to getting a PPO to obtaining legal services and counseling. Okay. We also are responsible for the U visa program. And what the U visa program is it was part of the Victims of Trafficking and Violence Prevention Act of 2000 that Congress created. The goal of it is to provide victims of certain enumerated crimes in the act the opportunity, who are not legal citizens, the opportunity to apply for a U visa to then remain in the country so that they aren't essentially penalized and deported because they happen to be a victim of a crime. So Prosecutor Worthy, as a prosecutor here in Wayne County, is responsible for reviewing certifications. So she has delegated that very kindly to me. So I receive from various immigration attorneys throughout the county these U visa certifications and applications. Basically, my purpose is to review the application. I don't make any decision on it, but I confirm that the applicant was indeed a victim of one of the enumerated crimes. And if they were and they participated in the prosecution of that crime, then I sign the certification as Prosecutor Worthy's designee. And then finally, the newest community outreach initiative that we have is the Firearms Technical Assistance Program. This is also a multidisciplinary team. And all these multidisciplinary teams are made up of several of the same partners. So generally it's the prosecutor's office, the Detroit Police Department, DHHS, Michigan Department of Corrections, and then some of our community partners. This latest FTAP, as I call it, or Firearms Technical Assistance Program, aims to review intimate partner domestic violence cases that have a firearms nexus. Because obviously, if you introduce a firearm into a domestic violence situation, the lethality significantly increases. So we now meet monthly as a team. We're trying to develop, implement, and measure the effectiveness of strategies to prevent stalking crimes that have a nexus with firearms, domestic violence, and sexual assault. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
In
Thank you.
addition to our community outreach, we support our victims throughout the courtroom process. So we have several noteworthy cases that we'd like to fill you in about. One is People v. Ashanti McAfee. In Dearborn Heights, there were two shooting victims, a male and a female. The defendant had entered the home of his former girlfriend and begins shooting. He shoots the male first and the male is able to escape, but he shoots the female victim, his former girlfriend, and both victims end up surviving, but the female's right hand had to be amputated. We charged him with assault with intent to murder, home invasion first degree, discharge in or at a building causing causing injury, being a felon in possession, felony firearm, meaning having a weapon while he committed the crime, and of course, domestic violence. Let me. Oh, can anybody hear that? No.
Can people online hear it?
No.
Yeah, it's so they can hear it online, but unfortunately in the room due to some difficulties we're
I
having.
guess we can do is skip ahead and we can send you the link.
Sure, please do.
Yeah.
See here.
She's lost her hand, thankfully, not her life. She says her ex-boyfriend opened fire on her home. She tried to dodge, but was hit several times, and her fiance was also wounded. Fox 2's Camila Berry spoke with her about what could have been done.
From the screen door, he just started shooting his gun, his AR-15. It was just shots everywhere.
It was Sunday morning, May 18th. Darshelle Evans was getting ready to make breakfast for herself and her fiance when she says her ex-boyfriend walked into the house. Evans lives on Waddell Street in Dearborn Heights.
He just came in shooting. He didn't say anything. He didn't have any words. He just came in, blazed his gunfire. That's all I seen is gunfire.
Evans' fiance is shot in the leg and yet is able to run away. But Evans is shot several times.
He was trying to shoot me in my head, and then I blocked it with my right hand, which caused the amputation of my right hand.
So at least she survived. That's what's most important. In addition, he pled guilty to and was sentenced to 18 to 30 years and 2 years for the gun, the felony firearm, which he's serving consecutively. So before he's even considered for parole, he's going to serve 20 years to 30 years. And this case was prosecuted by one of our more experienced prosecutors, Tina Moynihan Marquette. In addition, we have another case for you on a William Helmer. Mr. Helmer was charged with assault with intent to murder, aggravated domestic violence. He decided to ambush his former girlfriend while she was leaving work in Redford from her Coney Island job. He douses her with gasoline and then lit her on fire. She suffered extensive burns and was in a medically induced coma for a time period, but she also did survive. And he was sentenced to 40 to 80 years. And what's noteworthy about this case is the Court of Appeals did uphold his conviction just recently, within the last, I'd say, less than a month. Let's see if this one will work. What you're going to hear, the best part on this, is our judge calling him a wonderful human being. And I'm saying that with
been at least 40 years in prison for setting a woman on fire.
Back in 2020, William Helmer attacked Dorothy Spinella at the Redford Coney Island near 7 Mile and Beach Daily. Investigators say he walked up, doused her with gasoline, and lit her on fire. While it's not clear why she was attacked, police say the two may have known each other. The judge says his long history of violence influenced her sentence.
After sitting through the trial, viewing the photographs, observing the psychological effect it had on the victim, something like a cold-blooded human being, and there is no justification for your actions.
Helmer had little to say in the courtroom other than thanking the judge as he was led out of the room.
And I said he was sentenced on People v. McCarran. 1 minute.
Let's just send him the link and then. 'cause
It's
we get-
easier.
We get
Yeah.
lengthy, yeah.
So defendant McCarron was on parole in Oakland County for domestic violence with another woman. He, as part of his parole, had a condition that said you're to have no contact with the mother of your children, Miss Jennifer Lembruno. But what happens, Miss Lembruno, who has been a victim of Mr. McCarron for a long time, decided, okay, I'm going to go see him. She ends up going to see him at a Romulus hotel where he stays. In August of 2021, despite that court order, when she goes to visit him, the defendant stabbed her with a kitchen knife 19 times throughout her body, and she died of her injuries. McCarron was charged with second-degree murder, and he was found guilty by jury and sentenced to 75 to 87 years. And why we got such a higher sentence on this one is he had a significant history of assaulting women dating all the way back to 1997. And we charged him as a violent habitual fourth offender, which means at a minimum, the judge could have sentenced him to a mandatory 25 years and higher. But we were able to get a 75 to 87 year sentence on that case. Next, we'll go to Marion Scruggs, which is an interesting case. This one starts in 2019, but doesn't end until 2025. The defendant in this case burned down his then girlfriend's home. And in the home also were her dogs. They ended up being unfortunately trapped inside and they died. And that's where you get our animal abuse connection to domestic violence. Domestic violence abusers like to use anything they can to have power and control over their human victims. So what they do sometimes is use their animals against them. Well, if you don't do X, Y, and Z, then I'm going to hurt your dog. If you don't come home now, I've got a gun ready and I'm going to shoot, Fido. And that's where you get our animal protection unit, which is a volunteer unit that Kim will tell you about at a later time probably. But we have that a lot with our domestic violence cases. So this case originally in 2019 ended up getting dismissed. We reissued it once we received additional evidence because at the time we didn't have enough when the judge said, you don't have enough. But then the pandemic hit. Then the victim became unreachable and the case unfortunately was again dismissed. But thanks to our lead assistant prosecutor, Larry King, who was in trial today and couldn't make it today, we get a new case in 2023. In November, the defendant Scruggs uses gasoline again. He sets fire to an apartment that is occupied by a different domestic violence victim, his now partner in 2023 that he was dating. The victim and her two daughters, unfortunately, had to jump to safety. One of the children was severely injured. She injured both of her feet and her ankles. In this case, when the defendant was arrested then in 2023, and we were then able to reestablish contact with our 2019 victim. And through Mr. King's work, he was able to get both cases brought to court. And the 2019 case was refiled. So we had the 2023 and 2019 case coming together at the same time. I was going to show you a video here of the incident. It is graphic, so I will warn you when you do get the links. You'll see in the bottom left-hand corner where the girls through green light video were able to jump from the building. The first young lady, she was a little younger than her sister. When she jumped, she bounced right up. God bless the little kids with their soft bones. You'll see in this video right there at the left-hand corner, that's her. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You'll see in a few more minutes, it'll show you the rest of where the other young lady comes out. What was good about this case is all these young men that you see out there in the community came together and was helping them to get out. And then the fire department was able to come and finally get the mother. The mother waited till the end before she was able to escape. In this case, the defendant ended up taking a plea to second-degree arson and also pled guilty to the highest charge on the case with the children, and he pled to assault with intent to murder. So Mr. Scruggs was sentenced to 19 to 50 years on the assault with intent to murder and 10 to 20 years for the arson. And again, this was prosecuted by our lead, Larry King. And then we are going to move on to one of our pilot programs.
Right. So
So I want to
Yes.
interject. So one of the reasons why we're doing this is so you can, we have, 9,000 of these. And then they're not all this intricate. We wanted to just show you, we're not trying to shock the conference or shock the conscience or take a lot of time, but I think it's important for you to understand when I come asking for support and thanking you for your support in the past, this is what we're dealing with on a daily basis. And also, I just want to mention really quickly, because I know we're short on time, SVU, which Kelly runs, is domestic violence, child abuse, sexual assault, the rape kit, animal abuse, elder abuse, and domestic violence. And that's a whole lot of cases. And one of the things I want to thank you all for also is when I came to you several years ago asking you for wellness from my assistants. And we do yoga and we do chair massage and we do all kinds of things, health fairs, and we're going to be not celebrating, but we're going to be recognizing Mental Health Awareness Month in May and do all the things for my staff is because these are the things we see each and every single freaking day. And so it can take a toll for people who choose to do this work. And it's not just for SVU, it's for people that deal with homicide families every day. And, we haven't talked about child abuse. I'll come back at a later time and talk about that and the atrocities that we see there. So I thought it was important for you to understand kind of a microcosm of what we're dealing with. So we'll wrap this up in a minute, but I want you to hear about this last program, our newest initiative. And we won't take too much more time because I don't know if we have time for questions, but we thought this was important to bring this all to you.
Right. And as Prosecutor Worthy indicated, when she goes to conferences, she often comes back with ideas. And she had asked us, there were two different programs that we were aware of in the country. One was based out of Nashville, Tennessee. The other was King County in Seattle, Washington. And they both have programs where it's a survivor-centered diversion program. So Prosecutor Worthy asked us as a group to meet with representatives from Nashville as well as Seattle to learn more about their programs and to make recommendations to her that whether or not this is something we would want to pursue. And if we did want to pursue, what would it look like? So after meeting with both Seattle and Nashville, we did present something to Prosecutor Worthy, and this is something that we're going to move forward and implement as a pilot program. But Survivors First is facilitating interventions and research sources for survivors of trauma. So the premise of it, or the goal behind it is, we want to support survivors of gender-based violence by diverting select criminal cases for which survivors themselves have been charged with low-level nonviolent crimes. We allow survivors the opportunity to avoid a criminal record while connecting them with community-based trauma-informed services. So our office currently does have, and we do divert cases, but this would be specialized for people and it doesn't have to be just women, but the majority would be women. It's an opportunity to divert their cases from actually being prosecuted. They'd be charged, but we would require them to participate with our community partner. And we believe that we're going to be working with First Step because we've already had introductory meetings with First Step to get these survivors into services. And if they participate with these services and get the counseling and things of that nature, their case would end up being dismissed. And again, this would be for misdemeanors and people that don't have felony records, but we would divert felony low-level cases, not assault with intent to murders or things like that, but something like maybe breaking and entering, things like that. So why would we want to do a program such as this as Survivors First? When victims become defendants, it is a prosecutor's responsibility. Prosecutors who care about victims should also care when they become defendants. Survivors are often criminalized due to the trauma or abuse that they themselves have suffered. Systems responses should reflect that truth. The program rationale. These are not traditional defendants. They were our survivors first. 75 to 90% of incarcerated women are themselves survivors of abuse. Abuse suffered by these survivors is a direct contributing factor to their subsequent involvement with the criminal justice system. This is a prosecutor's program. It's not soft on crime. It's smart on trauma. It's serious about justice. Some people we prosecute are the same survivors that we have sworn to protect. Survivors First is a prosecutor-led strategy that centers the most marginalized victims, those entering the system as defendants. It provides the opportunity to interrupt the abuse to prison pipeline, not just talk about change, but leading that change. The research has shown, and here's some of the research that supports a program such as this. Women charged with the crime are overwhelmingly prior victims of domestic violence or sexual assault. The vast majority of incarcerated women are prior victims of domestic violence or sexual assault, 77% of women. The vast majority of women in jails have drug alcohol dependence driven by trauma, with prior trauma. Former victims charged with crimes are overwhelmingly African American women and people of color. And connection between victimization and later illegal activity is well recognized, but few diversion programs for victims of gender-based violence in the United States. And as I already alluded to, Nashville and Seattle are the only two that currently, and we're going to be doing it here in Wayne County as well. When I said that we met with representatives from Seattle, we met with both the Doris King and David Martin. Doris is the person that actually works for YWCA, which is their community partner, and Mr. Martin is the prosecutor in Seattle that actually got this program up and running. And really, their program, I think, was not only the program that served for the model that for what Nashville did, but it also is, and we're taking certain parts of their program and implementing it in ours.
I don't believe we'll hear the video, so we're just going to move on.
Okay, the video is something I think that when you should go back and actually watch the video, because it's very, it explains the program, and actually some of the women that participated in and had their cases diverted as survivors are interviewed, and they explain what this program did for them, what type of trauma they themselves had faced, and how they were able to participate with the services through the YWCA to end up at a position where, number one, they don't have a criminal record because of it, but they also ended up getting the services that actually help them in their lives, their day-to-day living. And it's really something that if you get a chance, you should really, I'd ask you to take a look at it.
Some very significant turnaround
Yeah.
about how their lives were enhanced because they were survivors first, and then they got involved in the criminal justice system as a result of their abuse and or trauma that we've talked about.
Yeah.
And I just don't think we can continue to ignore that.
Yeah. So our Survivors First pilot program, we would broad inclusivity, misdemeanor offenses, like I indicated, and first-time nonviolent felony offenders, misdemeanor convictions on a case-by-case basis, any victim of gender-based violence. And if I could just talk about gender-based violence, if you have been a victim of gender-based violence, this would be somebody that was a prior victim of a domestic assault, somebody that was previously sexually assaulted, somebody that was human trafficked. Those were the type of people, the type of survivors that we would be looking at and helping and putting into this type of program to help them actually better their lives. And again, we're saying any, back up. We're saying any gender, because again, it's not just women. There could be men that also have the same situation. If services are available for men, we're not going to not include men in this, but really the target is women, because obviously it's mostly women that are the victims. Implementation considerations. So how would we end up identifying who we would be diverting? We would accept referrals from the prosecutors, from the defense attorneys, from the police departments and our community partners. We would use our resources to verify the eligibility. And so again, with our case tracking system, if the female ends up being charged with some type of criminal offense, we can look in our database and see if she was a prior victim. And whether or not she prosecuted or not might be a different issue, but whether or not she has been identified and whether we can actually say she was a victim. And again, our community partners, if she maybe never prosecuted, but she went to First Step to get some type of counseling service, that our community partner could say, yes, this person that's now charged did participate and our group therapy sessions as a prior victim. And if we can identify that, that would be a person that would be eligible for a program like this.
Unfortunately, we had a little glitch here and it's not going back up.
So I think you get the gist.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
and
We're excited about it, actually, yes.
as you know, we're always trying to look for places. We are certainly not soft on crime. I think that's where we've established that over the years. We're very, very aggressive when it comes to violent crime. However, I should say, and not however, we also have numerous diversion programs, which I've been before you before to speak about. I probably should come back and talk about them because we really believe in second chances. We really believe helping people who have been abused and traumatized if they themselves find themselves in the criminal justice system. Not if they murdered somebody, not if they assaulted somebody, but if they have a lower level crime, we want to try to help. And so, and I know that Commissioner Patterson Newberry, I always mixed up your names, is very interested in human trafficking, and we're going to be dealing with that. But this is a perfect program for anyone that's been trafficked before.
Sure.
And so, again, we're going to take this on without any additional resources right now. It's a pilot program. We are going to be collecting data and seeing what we can do, but I fully expect to try to expand it later. But I wanted you to be among the first to hear about what we're trying to do and how we're trying to really, really globally affect our victims of crime. At the end of the day, and I'll just kind of end with this and take a few questions if there's time.
Yes.
And I don't know if there is, but we say all the time as or I say all the time as prosecutors, we can work our tails off and put everything, our blood, sweat, and tears into prosecuting these cases for our survivors and victims of crime, every crime. But at the end of the day, we go home. But these survivors and victims do not. And some of them, and I speak about this all the time, one life-changing victimization can change your life forever. And you may never be the same, or your children may be the same, or your grandmother won't be the same. And so I think that it is part of our mandate to do everything that we can. We're not trying to be social workers, but we're trying to make sure that people are protected within that criminal justice system, just as defendants are.
Thank you, Prosecutor Worthy and your team. I just want to say on just behalf of the commission, we just appreciate and just unbelievable work that you all are doing in your office is just fantastic. So thank you so much for the presentation. We have time for maybe 2 questions. So if there's any commissioners who have questions, Commissioner Daub and Commissioner Peterson Mayberry. And we'll go to you after.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you so much for this presentation, and Prosecutor Worthy. Like you, I'm always, whenever I go to a conference, I'm always coming back with great ideas. So thank you so much for doing that and bringing these back to Wayne County. And I think to tackle the issue of domestic violence, we have to approach it with many prongs. I was trying to think of how many pronged approach we should approach it with, but I don't know how many pitchforks. And I think this is a great prong. So would one of the resources that we would give to the survivors be like techniques to on how to get out of abusive relationships and not go back to the abusive relationship? Would there be counseling available to
That's something we already
survivors?
do. And
Yeah,
Chris can speak to that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The goal is always to break the cycle of domestic violence. So our end goal is always to provide that survivor with services, whatever is deemed appropriate for them, through our community partners. So First Step has for decades been one of our community partners. Avalon, which formerly was Wayne County Safe, deals with the sexual assault survivors. So we work very closely. We have Haven. There are just too many to name. But like you said, it's a multi-pronged approach. So everything from on the scene through the first responding officer, immediate safety planning, to providing shelter services. First Step, if you ever get the chance to go to First Step Shelter and tour it, I encourage you to go and see firsthand what is being provided to our survivors and their children. And now they can even accommodate some pets because they built this lovely little kennel, which is huge. But counseling services, as I indicated, both individual one-on-one with survivors and then family services with their children, with their support people, and then children's individual counseling. Their Lakeshore Legal Aid provides pro bono legal services. So be it to obtain a personal protection order or file for divorce or get an urban or an emergency protective order to remove weapons from a home in place. All of those services are available. So you best described it as a very multi-pronged approach.
Right. Because, you know, some of the men that you were showing in the presentation, it's just repeating, you know, whether with the same woman or multiple partners. The one guy was from stuff going back to the 90s, and I don't like to put it on the women or the survivors that they have to do all the work. I mean, and I know that there is work being done on stopping men from um being violent towards women. But you know, I think this program is a great opportunity to provide counseling and education to women who are in those relationships on how to get out of them and stay out of them and not enter into a new relationship that is a domestic violence
We're short on
situation.
time, but if I may, one point for you all to keep in mind is that domestic violence isn't about violence. It's about power and
Right. Yeah.
control.
Mhm.
So all of the assistant prosecutors who are in the domestic violence are specifically trained to prosecute these domestic intimate partner DV cases because they're different from other crimes.
Yeah.
And the one thing that we are taught and that we reiterate is you never ask a victim or a survivor, well, why don't you just leave? Because it's not that simple. And we don't put that burden on them. Leaving is a process, and statistics show that when a woman finally starts separating from her abuser and starts stepping back and leaving, that's the most dangerous and the most lethal time for her. So breaking that power and control, breaking that cycle is a process that we strive toward every single day with the work that we do. And ultimately, if we can break that cycle, then we've been successful. And we've had complainants that they may not be ready the first time. Statistics show that a woman will be assaulted an average of 7 times before she ever calls the police the first time. And the odds are that she'll cooperate with prosecution that first time are not that high. But when that victim's ready to step forward, then we're ready to meet her where she's at and go from there and breaking that cycle.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Unfortunately, we are out of time.
Sorry.
So I apologize. I apologize for our commissioner because we, but I just want to thank our county prosecutor and her team for doing the fantastic work you all are doing. And we know that it's not hard, and we are so happy to support you in every way we can. So thank you all so much for the work you do.
We will send you the links.
Yes, please do. Yes,
Presentation, and then I guess we can send our other questions.
sure, please. And we'll do.
Anytime. Our contact information is at the last slide in there, so with email, so absolutely.
Thank you so much for all of it. Now, you know, when I come, it's going to be lengthy, but we,
Yes. We appreciate it. We
sorry,
appreciate it.
but I appreciate you because we really want, when I come to you asking for money and for funds and for resources, I want you to understand why.
Sure. We appreciate
And
the information.
yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Have a great team. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, next item, please.
F, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
I'm not aware of any. Next item, please.
G, public comments.
Okay, we are now at the public comment portion of our meeting. If there's anyone who's in the chamber who would like to make public comment to the committee today, please come up to the table and do so at this time. Unfortunately, we cannot have folks on Zoom do public comment today. However, are there any emails received?
No emails have been received.
Okay, public comment going once, twice. Public comments are now closed. Next item, please.
Adjournment.
Support.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Wilson, supported by Commissioner Dobb for adjournment. We are now adjourned at 12.